Welcome back to Your Property Empire. It is now time for an update on the latest clearance rates and other property stats in the market for the moment. Charles, let's start perhaps with auction clearance rates.
Thank you. See, John was trying to get the jump on me there with those before. Clearance rates are pretty excellent, Liz. They've been consistent for a long time. Last few weeks, if you look at the actual chart, you'll see that there's a spike over this year compared to this time last year, significant, and 67.7% was the average clearance rate across the country. But Sydney had an exceptional run at 77.9%, and Melbourne sat in at 67.4%. But I noticed that Adelaide City's had 4 or 5 weeks now, and they ended up at 52 or 58.2, and also in Canberra, they had a clearance rate of just over 65%, and they've had a few weeks with 50s. So a few of them are starting to come good in that range. So the auction clearance rates overall are doing pretty well across the country.
All right, what about homes advertised for sale?
Well, that's not good. That was starting to climb a little bit, and that dropped back again last week. It dropped back minus 4.68% this week. That's back negative 0.19%. Not a big reversal, but still there's over 17,500 properties less for sale this year than we had this time last year.
Really?
And we're in a better market, but we just don't have the stock, and I'm sure that's reflecting in what you're doing too, John, and your numbers as well.
The actual number of sales and listings now are the lowest they've been since about 2004.
It's becoming very difficult to meet the demand for inquiry for buyers.
Okay, interesting. Residential rent.
Yeah, they are still moving okay. They've been balanced for a while. So Sydney was sitting at 10.88% since this time last year's climb, Melbourne at 6.95%, and Perth at 16.77%. And these are just off a portfolio of 8,000 managements that I have, so I'm able to get the data this morning. But when you look at it overall, it's 11.47%. In the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's been sitting in the mid-11s. So some of them are just starting to sit there and plateauing at the moment for everybody to see what's going to happen next. I think we're going to have another run when we work out what the political landscape is going to look like in the near future.
Yeah, so is that uncertainty about when the election date is going to be held, is that really having much of an impact on
it always
the property
does.
market?
Some of the people, some of the buyers just get a bit nervous about their jobs, and I understand that. And some of the sellers think, well, maybe it might spike after the election, so I'll wait. So you do have a bit of an issue there from both sides of the fence.
Are you finding
John
that as well?
talked about it.
There's some serious statistics on this. You actually find that there's a 60% chance that when a housing market hasn't been doing very well, as ours hadn't risen recently, the Prime Minister has always changed, and we saw Julia Gillard changed. And also there's some serious statistics that would show you that in the event that you have a situation like we currently got, where you've got a new Prime Minister introduced and you've got polls running neck and neck, what happens is that the housing market as you lead into the election actually slows, and then post the election it rises. Now, the probability of that happening is really quite high.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and just quickly and finally, residential vacancy rates.
Yeah, look, they've climbed again this week. They were hovering and dropping below 3 and going above 3, and this is the 3 capital cities that I use these stats off. Sydney was the worst performer at 3.46 for the week. Melbourne and Perth are still in the mid-2s, but when you look at it overall for the week, it's 3.03% vacancy rate, so we've gone through the 3% again. So it's been back and forward like a roller coaster ride, that one. They'll all have a big impact very, very soon on each other once, again, people know what's happening in the landscape out there.
Okay. All right, Charles Tarbey from Century 21 and John Edwards from Residex. Many thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Great to have your company. That does wrap up Your Property Empire for this week. Hopefully Chris Gray should be back in the chair next week. Until then, good night.
The information featured in this program is general in nature and therefore should not be relied upon. Guests appearing on the program may have commercial arrangements with some of the companies mentioned. Before making any investment, insurance or financial planning decisions, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you.